What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mustard back with another video, and today we here to review Fobia st.Dinfna Hotel, or I think it's Dinfna or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, starting this game, you start off in a cell, and then you like putting your book away. Which I had to ask the question: did they lather you up, man? Like I just want to know, like, why did you start off in jail? Because y'all know the Diddy jokes, bro. Anyways, you do escape, and then you literally get cooked after that, which I don't think that was you. I think that was just a random voodoo, guys. Sorry, Rando. You were just player too, bro. Anyways, the real story starts with you playing as my guy, Roberto. As he goes to this hotel, and his job is to pretty much figure out if there's any strange things or, stuff like that happening. So he's pretty much like a investigator into like hauntings and stuff like that. And he was there for a week at first. Nothing happened until, one day he went in the bathroom, saw this strange black hole or whatever. And then when he woke up, which for him it was probably like 5 minutes, comes to turn out it was a lot longer than that. So when he woke up, the hotel was all destroyed and stuff like that, Now he was just trying to figure the hell how to get out. Now, as you guys see, the little girl with the mask on, cover of the game, you really see her throughout the game, and I think that she kind of does her job well to like scare the holy shit out of you. She didn't really get me as much, but I was interested when I would see her behind the door or something like that, and then she was just gone. I'm just like, okay, interesting. But anyways, once you get into the hotel, there's the puzzles and all that stuff. The one key item that really is interesting for this game, I'll say, is the camera, because the camera pretty much lets you go through walls and stuff like that. But I think the camera's more like when you look through the camera, it's like a whole nother like dimension. So it allows you to go through the walls and stuff like that. But after doing all these puzzles and all these neat tricks that you have to do in the hotel, once you get to a certain part, you do find the phone, which, before we even get to the rest of that, I'm actually surprised that the phone worked in this game. I'm not going to hold you up. In any horror game, the phones don't work at all, though. So when the phone actually worked, I was quite surprised. I was like, wow, the phone actually decided to ring. But anyways, it was Stephanie. Stephanie is an important character in the game because she was your boss. And, you tell her who you are or whatever. And it turns out that you had actually been in that hotel for a year, or knocked out for a year. They didn't really do much explaining on that. You were just, I guess, when you got knocked out, you was out for a year. Like, you was just cooked, and the hotel was just like that. I was like, okay, interesting. Anyways, she was surprised that you were alive because they just presumed you dead. They put a casket down in the ground, bro, and that was that. Nobody, but I guess cool. Anyways, she pretty much guides you to go down to the first floor or whatever and stuff like that. Her mission was to give you ways to get out. But you also had to deal with this big dude with this big arm, and he was more like the Mr. X type character of the game. And yes, that dude is just Mr. X. I will say that this game I feel like was heavily inspired by Resident Evil, and then they got the Silent Hill stuff in there too. I'm not gonna lie, but more on the Resident Evil side because they had that dude in there. Now, funny thing before I actually get back to the story, the reason why I said it was more like Resident Evil than anything was because the save system is also like that. So in Resident Evil we got the good old little typewriter. Great, cool. In this game you got the clock. You can't just go around saving. No, it does not auto-save. You have to manually go and save the freaking game. If you don't, you're cooked. I'll even put mine up there. When I beat this game, I legit had like 77 saves. Yes, I said that right. It's somewhere around like 77. Because you know what? I was scared at every waking moment that I was going to die and that I was going to get put back somewhere from 3 years ago, and I just didn't want to deal with none of that. But anyways, you pretty much fight your way through the hotel, which this game has some nice bosses, and it had a few bosses, which was very nice. We had a little run scene or whatever, but the whole thing was to get out of the hotel with Stephanie helping you. Now, along the way, you do figure out, you do play this other character known as Christopher, because you have these spears. Now, when you're Roberto, you have spears and stuff like that that you can use to upgrade your guns and stuff like that, which really helps you out through the game. Which I will say, you can upgrade the camera too. I just didn't understand the point of upgrading the camera because I guess it allowed you to see a farther distance. Like, what does that do for you? Like, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. If y'all play this game, it doesn't do nothing. Like, if someone has played this, please put it in the comments what it actually does, because upgrading the camera was literally useless. I didn't feel no need for it. But anyways, you play as another character named Christopher, and he pretty much, found the spear. But this was like years ago. And when I mean like years, I mean like 200, maybe 300 years ago, something like that. This was like back in the day. Christopher finds the spear when he was working on something with his buddy or whatever. And, it's pretty much telling you how the spear came to be its own thing within the hotel world and, the modern day world or whatever. But, Christopher pretty much figured out that spear granted him powers, I guess I'd say. We'll get more back to that because you have to play with Christopher quite a few times within the game. And you do figure out that Christopher is actually the villain. He is the villain of the game. You play as the villain, which I thought was very interesting because the whole time they really didn't tell you that he was a villain. You just was trying to understand the origins of the spear and where it came from and why is it in the game necessarily. So you go back and forth playing Roberto and Christopher. But anyways, with Christopher, after you get through doing everything in the hotel, you do have this part where you have to go into this bunker or whatever. And I don't know why that. I kind of feel like the bunker was unnecessary, but like I guess they wanted to have like some scientific part to it, which there really wasn't necessarily. So pretty much you got more stuff to do in the bunker and stuff like that. Then after that, you do actually fight the Mr. X type of dude, like the dude who's been chasing you the whole game. And I thought the boss fight was kind of weak because literally you kill him by shooting him a bunch of times and then turning gas on, like just turning gas on. I was like, bro, if people had known this whole time, why was he such a big threat? Like, people don't use their brains, which I don't know. It was a little crazy. But after that, oh boy, the end of the game. I feel like it's a little bit dicey. So, at the end of the game, they kind of take you back to the beginning of when you started the hotel. And they kind of explain why you got knocked out. So, the girl, she calls you daddy. Apparently, you're her dad, quote unquote. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. And she just pretty much apologizes to you and stuff like that. And, during this time, you're hallucinating because after you beat the Mr. X type dude, your gas mask breaks in that fight, so you're like, gasping for air because you're pretty much dying from gas. Now, keep that in mind. You die from gas or whatever. You do find her tank and you let her out because apparently she was in the lab. So maybe the lab wasn't all that. Was maybe more interesting than I thought it was. But anyways, you let her out, and then you come into Christopher and Stephanie. And Stephanie, you kind of thought was on your side. Well, she was, because she tries to kill Christopher with a knife, which, Christopher's immortal. So, like, it didn't do anything, and then she gets cooked. Like I said before, she gets cooked. But you get the choice. Now, you get to either stay with Christopher or, you can be like, nah, I'm not gonna stay with Christopher because he's a dick. If you don't stay with Christopher, you straight up die. Like, he just straight up kill you. And he restarts, like, the whole hotel thing, hoping that he can find another person that he can, get away from his free will. I think the thing was, with him and the spirit and immortality was more about, like, free will or something like that, I don't know, man. Kind of confusing. But the real choice in the game is actually to side with Christopher because they explain what the hell goes on. So pretty much the little girl is a time traveler from 2060, and she's sent back with that heavy burden, I guess, to stop Christopher or something like that, because maybe in her time period, Christopher being immortal and having that free will messes up her timeline or something like that. They don't really explain why she time travels, which throws me off. So pretty much, you take Christopher's hand, get you up, and he kind of explains like a little bit of the little girl story. And like I said, you were supposed to be dying from gas. You literally just get up and walk with them. You just walk out with them. I'm like, okay, what the hell? So I don't know. It was a little weird, but for my final verdict, I will give this game a 6.5 out of 10. It really wasn't a bad game. It's just that the ending was a bit confusing because, like, Christopher's immortal. Why is he doing what he's doing to, like, people, making you go through that hotel? And then, like, the little girl's story was not really as fleshed out as it should have been. But I thank y'all for watching. Until next time, peace out.